I was truly putting my life on the line for someone else and for an ideal that is part of the military mindset.
Why companies or businesses have a preference for people who are in the military is because most of us are problem solvers.
Basically, I'm living the life that my grandfather made a comment with.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Called to Serve podcast. I am your host, Reggie Hubbard. If you could do me a favor and just take a quick second to subscribe to this channel, your support means everything to us. Today, I am here with a very, very, very special guest, someone who is near and dear to my heart. I owe him a great debt. And as a matter of fact, he is my father-in-law. So he handed his beautiful, beautiful daughter, my beautiful, beautiful bride, over to me. So I owe him a great debt. Welcome, Mr. Robert Simpson. How are you, sir?
Doing great. And I will collect one day.
You will collect, man. Well, I'm keeping it out of you here as far as I'm concerned. So I think that's a good start, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So let me tell y'all about, my dad here. It's just a man of service, okay? He served in the United States Army as a military police officer. He is currently married to his sweetheart, Julie, as of 4 years now, and was married to his late wife, Miss Hope, before she passed away. So just a man of many talents, a man of many passions. I'm super excited that we got him into the studio to share a bit of his story. So welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Great to have you. So I think I want to start. We could start with the military. So where did that come from? Like, talk about us about, growing up and what kind of influenced that decision to go to the military?
Well, I feel like I was raised fairly sheltered. I was raised in a Christian family, and my father, he'd had a thing with service with being a pastor. We did the mission field in Nebraska, build a church in the middle of the winter in Nebraska with no sniffles. I mean, building in the middle of winter. And there were some really great things that happened during that time that kind of helped shape me with my morals. And my parents were very instrumental in memorials and stuff coming up. But from there, when I was about 21, I got hit while they were going after my brother with the National Guard, and they ended up getting me. So part of it was getting money for college.
Okay.
And I had a best friend in high school that was military police. So, and the local National Guard unit was military police. So that's kind of what I fell into, even though I was into computers and technology and such. But I went into basic training in 1986 and then went back to the National Guard unit. Had some interesting experiences there, but I was able to grow with learning the discipline that the military did. Basic training grew me up. I was never really an athletic person, but it basically taught me that I could kind of get on those runs and actually make it without falling out too often.
Yeah.
Did that for 3 years. Then some personal things happened, and I made the decision that to go ahead and go active duty. And the first duty station was in Germany, and I did 2 different stations there. And during the second one, those when Gulf War I broke out. So I was never in country, but the people that I was working with, we were one of the number 1 targets in the country at the time. So that was that. I call that one the job that actually grew me up. It was dealing with the stress of that and being able to do that, and some things where I was the personal protection for someone, and that person was the wife of someone important, and just having that responsibility just really set something in me to where it took away the childishness. And was kind of a stepping stone for some things that's happened to me since then.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, I guess, what made you decide to go to the military? I know they kind of came after your brother, but then they ended up getting you. What was it about? What you heard or saw that?
College money.
Just for college?
College money.
Okay.
That was the reason I went in, but it became so much more.
Yeah.
Just the sense of when I was truly putting my life on the line for someone else and for an ideal that is part of the military mindset, being willing to go. I mean, another thing I just remembered was where I was at, it was a change from a duty station that was in Germany, and when Gulf War I broke out, me and the other two people that I went over to this detail with, we basically went to our commander and we'd like to go back to our old unit because they were being shipped in country. And we were told that no, we were needed there as well, but just being willing to go back and put ourselves in more harm's way just for the ideal of serving and doing something that meant something.
Man, that's awesome. You know, I have a special place in my heart for all veterans, you know, and why I say that is, to me, it never mattered if someone was actually in combat or not or in country. It's based off of the fact that you are willing. You signed your name on that X just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to. So for me, that's what I look at as far as honoring veterans, honoring people who serve, is they made that personal decision.
Yeah. You never know what's going to happen.
Because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what you're putting yourself into. You know what I mean? But just being willing to serve, and to fight for people who can't necessarily fight for themselves.
Yeah.
So I definitely commend you on that for sure. And I think it's pretty cool because, if you don't mind, I kind of like to talk about how we kind of met. I mean, it kind of ties into it because, you know, me and Rachel, who is my beautiful bride now.
Yes.
Right. We started off as just being really good friends.
Yep.
And, you know, it was unfortunately, it was right after, you know, Hope had passed away. And, you know, she said, hey, you know, you and my dad have a lot in common. I think he'd be somebody great for you to meet, but I think you'd be really great for him to meet. You know what I mean? Yeah. And she introduced us, and we became friends essentially. So we had our own brotherhood because we just and what's so funny is that we actually many years apart served in the same unit.
Yep.
You know, so I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, the same unit. So I just thought that was cool. And from the beginning, I feel like we had a bond.
Yes.
There, you know, because we both were in the service. We were both military police, right? The same unit. We think alike. We have a lot of interests that we like. We're able to have a lot of different type of conversations.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. And then eventually, you know, I ended up marrying your daughter.
Yes.
That's after
several long conversations.
After several long conversations where I might have been threatened, can't confirm or deny. We'll leave it at that.
Hopefully the statutes of limitations are coming up close.
So yeah, man, you know, I just wanted to throw that in there because I think that's just like a really cool connector right there.
Yeah.
As far as our history goes. But yeah, man. So college, and then talk to me about your family support. Was your family supportive of you going to the military?
My dad was. My mother wasn't, but she did come around. She kind of, she was very concerned about it. But that also being said, my sister had already joined the Navy at that time. That was her first duty station where she was enlisted at that time. She later went back in. She got her degrees and went back in as a chaplain. So we have that extension. My mother actually met my father when he was stationed at Fort Gordon. He was in Signal Corps.
Okay.
And I was born in Frankfurt, Germany.
That's cool.
came back when I was 3 months old. I've still got the passport that they took a little picture of me and put it in my mom's passport, and I've got that.
That's cool.
So there's just little interesting things that happen on life's way.
Yeah, I mean, so dad supported it for sure, but mom,
yeah, she wasn't really on board with it, especially with the Germany.
Yeah.
But long term, it's been a very good thing for me. I've been able to use the leadership training and the training on how to train to actually use that within a job I had later, and I've continued to use it going through all the different places that I've been kind of growing up in my professional career.
Yeah, man. And, you know, again, I want to say thank you for your military service. You know, I definitely don't want to spend the whole interview just talking about your military service. I want to talk about how, you know, just like how you just said, how has that impacted you over your life span so far? And, you know,
the leadership part of it just is just a positive. You're able to think in situations beyond just what's happening to you personally. It's thinking more of not just how is it going to affect me. It's not a me thing. It's what am I doing that helps others? What am I doing that is the right thing to do, whether I want to do it or not? It's the right thing to do based upon what's needed in the situation. And that's how I basically approach a lot of things. I even get in trouble at work sometimes because I do what I feel like is the right thing for the customer.
Yeah. And I think, you know, when you talk about the leadership aspect of military service, I think that why it's so important and why companies or businesses have a preference for people who are in the military is because most of us are problem solvers.
Yes. That's exactly what my job's all about, is solving a problem for the customer and I've gotten to where I'm solving the problems for other people within the company. I've just knowing I've been with the company longer than most people in the company. So I kind of know where my resources are and how to basically develop my resources with helping others, and they're willing to help me out to solve another problem for someone else. Just kind of working on your network.
Yeah.
That's a lot of things that you do in your personal life, but I just do it in a little different way. It's a little smaller community.
Yeah, 100%. And I think one thing that makes you an asset is your military service and your mindset, because, you know, when you think about the percentage of the population that actually served in the military, it's very small. You know, it's very, very small. I think maybe less than 1%. Or around the 1% or something like that. But so that definitely makes you an asset, and it definitely gives you an advantage in many different areas. Yeah, because of the knowledge, the training, the experience, right, that you have and that you've developed over the years.
Yeah, you got to learn to not be selfish.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of people that they're selfish in that they're not willing to stick their neck out for someone else or for a certain thing or an ideology or something, because it's all about me. Yeah. And that's something that it just needs to happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. So talk to us about, you know, what are you doing currently?
Well, I'm a manager with solutions architecture for a company that does technology in hotels. Okay. I started out basically with a small company here in Atlanta, and I learned Wi-Fi. And from there, the downturn of 2008 happened with the housing thing. So a lot of the contracts with that company got pushed out, and they couldn't afford me anymore. So we were doing business within a company in New York where I was designing Wi-Fi networks for voice over IP applications. So you're walking around with a phone, and you had to have a clean handoff from place to place. And I was building those types of networks. And they were willing to pull me on board as the Wi-Fi person. And through that, I also learned the networking and started doing lead installing high-speed internet in hotels and such. And ended up having a knee injury partially from my military service. I've lost meniscus in my left knee, so it got to the point where I couldn't get around the hotels very well. So they pulled me off of install, and I had already been doing site surveys. So being able to like survey and find out what equipment's needed in order to do upgrades and such, and plus doing installs, actually how to configure that stuff and how everything works. I kind of went into more of a sales engineer role where I was designing networks, but also I became the tier 3 support for the company, to where when you call up to the support desk and you're like, I have a problem, you have tier 1, that's the simple, just punch these numbers, and you have tier 2, they go a little deeper, but the tier 3 guy is the person that knows the very depths. And to be honest with you, all the networks that we were supporting, I actually installed. So I could envision that, okay, there's this patch cable from here to here. You want to move this or whatever. I was able to envision it in my head, which was a great asset to have in doing that. But that ended up being a lot of long hours, getting woken up at 3 and 4 in the morning because someone couldn't get on the internet. But from there, we had a sale of the company, and we've grown to the point to where we had to put in extra management, and I ended up getting a manager's position, doing day-to-day management of the group. So I'm the person that kind of decides who does what quotes based upon the skill sets and the needs of how fast we're able to get things done. And I'm also the person that people come to for, hey, we need to do this in this way to meet a brand standard. And we kind of go through and we have to do checks and things. So it's kind of like the day-to-day stuff. But I've kind of grown into that with also being the person that salespeople want to have on their calls with their customers. So I've got some personal relationships with some of our customers as well. Some of the customers, they reach out to me on Teams directly.
Nice.
And, hey, we got this going on. Where do we want to go? And I advise them on how to go through getting their problem solved through our normal channels.
That's pretty cool. That sounds like a lot.
Yes. I have some days where I'm not as cool as collected as you normally see me. I've had people come downstairs and say, "Are you okay?"
Oh, yeah. You know, I mean, Robert Kiyosaki said it the best, I think. He said business would be a lot better if people weren't involved.
Yes.
It'd be a lot easier. It would be a lot easier if people weren't involved.
I've made this statement before, and it probably speaks a little ill of me, but I guess I'll share it. There's been some times where I'm like, I would rather deal with my computer or this piece of technology because I have no clue what that person's going to send at me.
Yeah.
I put stuff in there. I know what's going to come back. I put something into a person. Sometimes I don't know what's going to come back.
Yeah, that's fair. People are definitely unpredictable for sure.
Absolutely.
And so
that's part of the fun.
Yeah, it's part of the fun. I mean, I think, I've never worked in the tech space or anything like that, but I think in a way, when you reach a certain level, you kind of maybe have seen everything, but I think, and it's just from my perspective, you could probably tell me better. You live in that world. The world is just evolving. So I
Yes.
feel like with that evolution, it creates new problems and new ways to challenge you. So it's ever evolving. So I feel like, hey, you never know what you're going to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And I feel like that can be kind of exciting.
Yeah, exactly. I'm living the life that my grandfather made a comment with. He basically made the comment. I'm sure that other grandfathers have said this in the past, so I'm sure it's not unique. But a day you don't learn something is a day wasted. And in what I do, that's pretty much what I deal with day in, day out. There's always something new coming up, some new process, some new technology, some new something that is always evolving. So that's part of the challenge of what we do in technology, is trying to stay relevant for future career growth and employment and such.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely I feel that for sure. So we've talked about, military service. We talked about service in a professional nature. Let's kind of bounce to, I guess, your perspective on service to family.
Yes.
What does that look like for you? What is important about serving your family to you?
Well, it involves a lot of patience. But I see how I was raised with a lot of morals and with things that have made me me, but then I had other influences afterwards, more professionally, to help grow my professional and such. But I've been blessed in that I've had a second go at family, and that has blossomed into what started out marrying into 12 grandchildren has now grown to 15 with 2 great.
Wow.
And each one of them have unique personalities. And being able to, number one was the great honor that my, I want to say stepdaughters, but they're my daughters. They came to me before the wedding and asked me if I could be called grandfather to their children. And that was just such an honor. And I've been just working since then to be worthy of that. Wow. And during that time, it's taken a little bit of time to start learning the individual personalities of all my grandchildren and being able to be there as with the discipline that's needed at the time, but also knowing how to approach them to where it's accepted instead of just the authoritative thing that some people do is like, I said to do this. And I can tend to have that at times where it's like, I am old enough to where I'm the adult, so do what I say. But kind of balancing that with kind of knowing how to approach that person to where it doesn't embarrass them, do it away from others so that it's like, okay, one of my basic approaches is, okay, you just got in trouble for this. Okay, now think about why you got in trouble. And let's try not to do that. Everything's fine. You're not in trouble or anything, but just trying to point out to them what they're doing to elicit that response from the parent or from their sibling, and to learn from that to try to not do that in the future. Yeah. Wow. So I see that as a service to them to try to bring them up in the right way. I've learned that just as adults, everyone has their way that they receive things better than other ways.
100%. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So you inherited 12 grandchildren.
Yes.
Instantly.
I remember we were dating that I knew it was after we did the Match.com thing. It was the interview process, and we basically dated in my car for quite a while before you feel comfortable inviting them into your household. But once I got introduced, I was able to get onto her Facebook and such, and I actually pulled up Vizio and started copying and pasting photos and trying to figure out whose name was what in order to start trying to learn names. Imagine doing that with 12 kids that you've never met.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, that was very different.
Yeah, man. So all of this, right? And then, you already, like you said, you were married once before for 28 years. I mean, I can only imagine what was going, through your mind, when you decided that you wanted to take things a step further and you wanted to let your children know that you were going to be moving forward. What was that like for you?
It was very different, but well before that, I did take time off to get myself together afterwards and to pay respect to that relationship. But I was on a survey down in Destin, and I went, and it was a hotel that was on the beach, and I had gone down to the beach since I was there, and I was taking the time off in the afternoon, And I was sitting there, I was just watching the waves, and all of a sudden I just broke down. And it was like, here I am, I'm in this beautiful place, and no one to share it with. So that's when I went home and got on Match.com.
Yeah.
And me and Julie found each other, and we started dating, and it was just the next step.
Yeah.
That Hope had told me before she passed that I had been a good husband and that I should feel free to go and find someone. So that's what I did.
Yeah. I mean, I see how you carry yourself. You know, you're one of the people that I admire. You know, I have very, very a lot of respect for you, because I can imagine going through that or what that felt like. You know, it wasn't something that was, I guess, instant.
Yeah.
You know,
it's probably a little bit of a two-edged sword. Some people, it happens all of a sudden that they never get a chance to say goodbye, and I feel for those people. But I had the chance to say goodbye. It was a bit of a long road.
Yeah.
And I feel lucky that I was able to basically give her what she needed on that road to get into that place. But yeah. I know where she's at, and I can't feel sorry for her. One of the comments she made was, people are so afraid to die. Well, I'm a Christian. I'm always preparing to go there. Why should I be afraid to go where I know I'm going to go?
Yeah.
So,
man, that's deep, man. I resonate with that for sure. Thanks for sharing that.
I tend to overshare.
Oh no, man. This is a place where we just want people to be their authentic self and tell their story, you know, how they want to tell their story. And Hope was a very big part of your story.
Yes.
You know, you spent nearly 30 years with her, and I think it's only appropriate that we honor her, you
Absolutely.
know, in your story.
Yes.
Along with now honoring Julie,
Absolutely.
who is your current wife.
Yeah, she's completing me. And just to go along with the theme of the podcast, she has her own service thing. She's a special ed preschool teacher.
Wow.
And she's basically been director of several daycares coming up through time, but she went back and she got her degree, and she's now a certified teacher. And her skills at communicating with the younger kids, especially ones that have special needs, is phenomenal. It's something that not everyone can do, and I commend her for that wholeheartedly. I'm ashamed to say it's not something that I could do.
Me either, bro.
It is not me, but she does it so well. I've seen her in dealing with kids. We have some special needs kids in children's church. I see that how she deals with that, and how she's been able to instruct me on how to work with these children, and it is definitely a gift.
Yeah. I mean, she's definitely, I've seen her in action too. You know what I mean? Even like with my children, you know, and just different children in general. She's definitely gifted. I think she was uniquely created to be in that space. And I think a special kind of person to be in that position to where you're working with children who are a little different.
Yes.
You know, you have to have a different type of heart, a different level of empathy. I couldn't imagine doing that every day.
Exactly. but she comes home and she's just all over the moon. She wants to go in there and be with her kids. She always talking about her kids and what they did and sharing the accomplishments and such. It's just a great thing.
Yeah, I think there's a special place in heaven for people like that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, man, I think so. We mentioned a little bit earlier about how Hope was a Christian. You're Christian. Julie's Christian. How does your faith kind of impact everything that you do?
Well, I try. Let me mix two things. There's a saying that I have where no one will ever be perfect, but if you strive for perfection, you will still do better than others, and you'll still do better. Okay, Jesus was the ultimate example of perfection, and to just strive to be that, understanding you'll never reach it, is something that just kind of goes along with the ethos of what I got in the military with leadership, being willing to step out and put yourself at risk for things, whether it be taking the risk of taking the criticism for making a wrong decision, or to take that risk to do something to protect someone innocent and such. He was just an example of that. And to just do things that are selfless. You do it not to get glory. I've done things that I basically have done things where I purposely try to make sure that no one knows that I did it, because I don't want to take the glory away.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's powerful, man. I think the ultimate goal is, especially nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. We all fall short of the glory, right?
Yeah, I'm ashamed of some of mine.
You get what I'm saying? Me too, dude. Like I've made some major mistakes, but in the midst of that, I know whose I am, and no matter who you are, I've always known that I was called to do something great, and I was called to be different. And I think that people can sense that. And when people ask me what it is, why am I always so happy? Why am I always so joyful? Why, when I walk into a room, there's just a light? And they ask me, why am I so different? And the answer is because of Jesus.
Yeah, it's definitely something. I mean, I grew up coming through school, and I was the one always picked on because I was different. I wasn't the one that was chasing the girls. I wasn't the person that was bullying somebody.
Yeah.
I was always someone a little different. And looking back at that, I can just say, okay, that happened, and I've just got to move on. But it's just been a learning experience.
And people ask me all the time, every day at work, they're like, hey, Reggie, how are you? I say, I'm alive, I'm awake, and I feel great. And I also tell them, man, I'm blessed. I live a life that I don't deserve, but I'll take it anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that's just really cool, man. To be able to be who you are, to be able to make mistakes, to fall short, but never be made to feel less than.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that's how they build themselves up, by dragging others down. That's not right.
Yeah.
You should always be trying to build someone up.
Yeah.
That's another thing I do with my job. I'm reaching the age where retirement's on the hill.
Yeah,
and
man.
I'm trying to pour into the younger guys just all the experiences I've had, not just technically, but also morally and such.
Yeah. I think, being grounded in faith and values and things like that. I mean, it's important. That we talked about military service. We talked about, your job. We talked about your marriage. Let's talk about service as being a father.
Yes.
Because that's a completely different ball game right there, right?
Yes.
It takes a different level of patience, a different level of understanding, a different level of love. What would you say? What has been your experience being a father? Like, let's talk about from the beginning when you found out you were first going to be a father.
Oh man, it was such a proud moment. My son, just knowing that, I kept on the family tradition of firstborn male. The only thing is he didn't get my name right off the bat because my wife didn't like my middle name.
Okay.
But I got some revenge later. I think it was like first or second grade. He heard the story and he went to school. And he's like, "My name's Robert." So there's all of his friends right now know him as Robert.
Yep.
Instead of his given name.
He'll connect you too. He'll correct you too.
Yes, he will.
He's like, "Don't call me that. My name's Robert."
Yeah. So, and then I had my daughter. They were 16 months apart. And one of the unique things I did that was I went and got flowers for my wife, which I did on the first as well. But when I got flowers for my wife, I grabbed a second bouquet because I basically said, "No punk kids gonna be the first one to give my daughter flowers." And I have basically followed that through to this day.
Yeah.
Every single one of her birthdays. And
Yeah.
she did do me the honor of her first tattoo was a bouquet of roses.
Yeah.
So it's been a little bit of a family tradition between the two of us.
Yeah. And then also, you're the only one that can get her pink
Yes.
roses.
Oh,
So
you found out.
Oh, no, I know. I've known since before we started dating. So I have honored that tradition, and I'll continue to honor that, but I'm when I buy her flowers, I'm very trying to make sure that there is not all pink flowers and that there is as little pink as possible.
Yeah.
Because I do understand it's just a different type of bond that a father has with his daughter than a father has with his son. Yes. Not that one is better than the other. It's just different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You really, you have to raise your daughters and you have to step up and just really be a protector, because boys are meant to grow up to become protectors, right? To become providers. Yes. And it's, like I said, this is just my belief, and this is, based off of what I've seen and, just from a biblical standpoint, women are supposed to be protected.
Yes.
They're supposed to be cherished. They're supposed to be protected, right?
Yes.
So our job as fathers is to show our daughters the type of man or the type of protector that is acceptable to come into their life.
Absolutely.
To instill those values in them, right? So that they can know what it looks like for someone to be a protector and a provider.
Exactly.
Right. Obviously, you want them to be God-fearing, right? To share the same values, to be equally yoked, as I would say. So yeah, man, like having a daughter and having a son, completely different, right? I'm new to that.
Yes.
Right. I have he's a little bit over 1 year old. And, it's just already so different.
Yeah, Absolutely.
having a little boy, and I feel honored. I feel that it's a blessing when God blesses you with a son, because he's saying, you know what? I am granting your lineage an extension.
Yes. Exactly.
And that's how every time I see Kai, that's the first thought that I have. It's like, man, this is God saying that to keep on doing what you're doing, because one of the first things that I told man to do was to be fruitful and to multiply. And by granting me a son, I feel like that's what God is saying is, you know what? I want your bloodline to continue.
Yes. Absolutely.
So honor me by teaching them and bringing them up in the ways that I've commanded you to do so.
Yes.
So, yeah, man. So we got to talk about it.
If I can expound on the base you just laid.
Of course.
You're talking about love your kids and protect them and such. But the other thing that I've learned is that it's not good to provide every little thing for them. You must teach them to provide for themselves.
Yeah.
To be able to protect themselves, but also be self-sufficient. I mean, basically giving someone every little thing that they want is not good for them. I mean, myself, yes, my grandfather gave me a car, but it was a 68 Mercury Montego. It was not a woman getter. But I had to pay for the insurance, and I had to keep it on the road. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I did with Rachel is I taught her how to change the oil. I taught her how to change brakes, how to change a tire. Yes, you accept help from other people, and when you get a husband, yes, that husband needs to provide and help and such, but don't be so self-sufficient that you are dependent upon another person, because sometimes that person lets you down.
Yeah.
It's that trust but verify.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, going to them, my mom, she made sure that we knew how to cook. We knew how to clean. We knew how to do laundry. We knew how to sew. Because she told me when I was young, she said, man, I don't know what direction this world is going into. These women are just a different breed. And I was a teenager. She said, I don't want you to have to depend on a woman for anything.
Yeah.
You know, your woman is supposed to be your helper. She's supposed to be your partner. But if you don't have that, you need to be able to make it happen for yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you the skills and the tools to make sure that you know.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm glad that I have a helper. We got to have a partner.
Yes.
You know, we each play our own roles in our marriage, and, you know, our dynamic just works. Yes. We have our strengths, we have our weaknesses, and we complement each other. You know what I mean? I'm glad I don't have to do laundry anymore. I hate laundry. But she loves to do it. So
I still do it.
You know, different marriages, you know, hey, but, you know, hey, if I had to do it, which every now and then, if, you know, I'll do it. I have no problem doing it. I know I have the skill set and the knowledge on how to do it. It's just she's taking that away from me.
Yeah.
Because it's something that she enjoys doing for our family.
Yes.
And I think that's pretty awesome. So we got to talk about it now. So obviously, you know, me and Rachel started dating, and then we did it for a while. And then the topic of marriage came up. I asked you for her hand. I haven't experienced that yet, and I don't know what the heck is going to be going through my mind the day some dude comes up to me asking to take my daughter's hand in marriage.
Yeah.
What the heck was going through your mind, man?
Well, it was respectful to ask. Now, I understood that in today's culture, if I was to say no, I may not get my way. But that being said, with you and also with another person that actually asked me as well, I had the privilege of having one of Julie's daughters have her new husband call me and ask for her hand.
Wow.
But in both cases, I was more than happy to give my blessing with the warning of don't screw up. But it's basically just you. Yes, I'm giving my daughter away, but you're still on probation for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, fair.
You've passed your probation.
Appreciate it. Y'all heard it. I passed my probation. Your boy is off probation. Okay, I'm free. Yeah, man. I could just imagine. I don't know, like a certain level of fear, like just being like, maybe not necessarily feel like unhappy, but like if that's feeling of uncertainty, you know, maybe like, is this guy really gonna take care of my daughter? You know, like
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Are you able to take care of my daughter? Just so many questions I feel like I would have. I think, you know, really, is she really happy?
Yeah. Well, what you've got to do is kind of go back to how you're raising your children.
Yeah.
You try to teach them and set that example of what they should be looking for and how to use their head about it. And you just have to, it gets to the point where you just have to hope that you've set that basis in them, that they're making a correct decision.
Yeah.
On that to start with, and you just have to have faith that it's going to happen, but always be willing to just understand that if something goes awry, you just got to be there still for both parties.
Yeah, that's deep, man. That's deep. I just always, I mean, we never really, I would say never really talked about that. I thought like this was just like the great opportunity to talk about it. You know, I definitely just love the authenticity of the conversation, and this is what this space is created for us. It's created to, you know, honor you and your service in many different ways, your story, but it's a place for you to feel like you can be your authentic self, whatever that may look like. So
like I said, I tend to overshare.
It's all good, man. It's all good, brother. Yeah, man. Well, I for one I'm grateful that you said yes, because I got a feeling that if you would have said no, then I would have had some more work to do. That's just based off of who your daughter is.
Yeah.
She was not going to marry me without your approval. It just wasn't going to happen.
That's the reason.
You get what I'm saying? So, you know, that's why I used to make this joke. Hey, don't make me work for her for 14 years. If you know, you know. If not, then you need to get in your word and you need to find out about the story of Rachel.
Yeah, there was a story in the Bible that way.
Yes,
He worked for a long time and got the different one that had to work more.
Yep. Got tricked by the trickster.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad I didn't have to work for 14 years to get her hand, but you know what I mean? Yeah, I definitely I appreciate you because you set the foundation for who she is today as my wife, you know, and as a mother to my children, you know what I mean? And I know it couldn't have been easy because I was married once before. I had already had 2 children and she had none.
Yeah.
So, you know, just to think about the kind of person that she is and that what she was willing to step into.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah, I just think she's just a phenomenal person.
Yes.
She's the best person I know. And yeah, man.
You don't have to suck up now.
Oh no, man. It just
we're past that.
I know. I'm on probation. I'm on probation. Nothing can get held against me now. So yeah, man. Yeah, but truly thank you. Thank you, you know. I think is there anything else you like to share, man?
I think we've hit it pretty hard.
Yeah, man. I think it looks like we're coming up on time, but before I let you go, I just want to thank you for coming through and really just sharing, pieces of your story, being willing to just support the podcast, and come on here. But I have something for you I want to give you. So I got a custom call to serve.
Oh, thank you.
Podcast coin, and just like I say, it's when you look at it, I want you to remember, for it to be a token that reminds you of why you serve other people. That's what I got it created for. Something that is tangible. No matter where you put it or where you see it, you'll see it eventually. And I just want you to remember why it is that you serve, you served in the military, or you continue to serve in your professional life, or you continue to serve in your family, in your church community, right? Why you continue to serve. That's what that's for. And it's just a way to thank you. But also, got you a call to serve sticker. So you can put it on whatever you want.
I think I got an idea on that.
Yeah. So, I definitely just appreciate you. You just had a birthday that passed, so happy belated birthday to you.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah, man, if you don't have anything else to say, man, I'll definitely love to come back and do something, again, maybe talk about a part 2 and make it happen.
See how things go from here.
All right, brother. Until next time.
Absolutely. Been a pleasure.
Yes, sir.